I'm just looking at how my team has changed. I've been watching this team for years, week in, week out, La Liga games, Champions League games, Copa del Rey games, and I'm looking at how the team has changed, and I'm looking at how the team is struggling to fit in one man who has not won a Champions League in his life, who doesn't even look hungry enough to win a Champions League. And I'm just like, why would I now let go of this guy that has proven to be able to get to a Champions League? Yo, you guys, what is good, man? Welcome back to Real United Talk, where we talk about all matters Real Madrid and Man United. This is going to be a real talk episode. Guys, what is going on with Vinícius Jr? What is happening? Like, it seems like we've come such a long way from the days where he was nominated for the Ballon d'Or, from the days where he was carrying us in the Champions League, from the days where he was carrying us in La Liga. It just seems like we've come such a long way from those days. What is happening? What is happening to my player? What is happening to the best player in Madrid? What is happening to the best player in the world? It's not too long ago, this guy was on track to win the Ballon d'Or. Yes, Roger won it in the end, but a lot of people could have said that was unfair. It was supposed to go to Vini. What is happening to him? Like, he's so far away from the player that he was right now. Like, literally, if you watch the Osasuna game, you just see like nothing was clicking for him. Nothing was clicking. Like, the dribbles weren't coming off. I don't know how many shots he even had on goal or how many shots he had in general in that game. He just didn't have that much of an impact in that game. Like, he just looked way off it. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I kind of have an idea of what's going on, which is what I'm going to talk about today. But we need to get right into the situation. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. Like I said, Vini has come a long way from the player that he once was. And if you're looking, like, if you're into science and everything, and you're doing an experiment and looking at all the data, what has changed at Real Madrid? One thing has changed. Yes, we've had signings here and there and everything, change of manager and all of that. But one major factor since Vini's downfall started has happened, which is the signing of Kylian Mbappe. Since Mbappe joined Madrid, Vini has not been the same, except for when they first started off at Madrid, except for when Mbappe was still kind of struggling to adapt to the team and everything. Except for those first few matches, Vini hasn't been the same. Like, when we started last season, like, Vini still looked like Vini. Like, Vini was still carrying Madrid, he was still putting Madrid on his back, Champions League, La Liga, picking up the slack, picking up where Mbappe left off and everything. Like, he looked like Vini, and then at some point Mbappe started being Mbappe again and Vini stopped being Vini. And like, I think I've pushed this in too many videos, I think I've pushed this in too many episodes. They just don't work well together. They just can't play well together. They just don't complement each other well enough. Like literally, one of them's light has to die out for the other one to shine. Like, it's just like, like, if you watch the games, you see exactly what I'm talking about. Like I said, when we first started, Vini was balling out when Mbappe was still struggling. I remember that Liverpool performance, and then immediately Mbappe started balling. Around the time when Mbappe started balling, that's when we started seeing this Vini downfall. That's when we started like not recognizing Vini for the player that he once was. So many things have changed since Mbappe signed for Real Madrid. So many things have changed. Like, I'm not going to come and say that everything that's going on right now is Mbappe's fault. I'm not going to say that, but like, if we're being real, if we're looking at all the factors, right? Like, one of the main things that did change was the signing of Mbappe, and there's just many things going on around that. Like, midfielders have to work extra hard to pick up the slack in attack. Vini is falling off. Like, Rodrigo is out of the squad now because, like, they can't have Vini, Rodrigo, and Mbappe on the pitch together. Like, that just doesn't work. Like, just so many things have changed for one man, and I just wonder, like, is it really worth it? Like, having all these changes, having all these players fall off, having every single thing going on at Madrid right now, like, is it really worth one man? That's what we're going to have to answer right now. And Mbappe, I love Mbappe. Mbappe obviously is a player that, like, I wanted him at Madrid for such a long time. Like, since that whole dance at Monaco, that whole dance at PSG, I wanted Mbappe at Madrid. It was the dream signing. It almost seemed inevitable for Mbappe to join Real Madrid one day. It almost seemed inevitable. But I do think that at some point, maybe we didn't need Mbappe as much anymore. I do think that, like, immediately Vini started being Vini, I don't think we need Mbappe as much anymore. And that's just because, like, Vini being Vini, Mbappe being Mbappe, they both like that left wing and everything. So I do think that, like, Vini proved that, like, he wasn't just like a one season wonder. Like, that 2021, 22, whatever season it was, wasn't just like a one-off. He did that. Like, we didn't need Mbappe as much. I think before Vini became Vini, when that 17, 18, 18, 19, around that time, we still needed Mbappe badly. I think that maybe like there was an expiration date on this whole Mbappe thing, Mbappe joining Madrid, and unfortunately, Real Madrid went over the expiration date, and that's currently what's going on right now with Mbappe. Like, I think that as much as like he's doing good, as much as like he's scoring goals, European Golden Boot winner and everything, like you just have to look at all the factors around him. You just have to look at everything that's going on with the squad. And I've always said this year, like, don't be blinded by like shining lights. Don't be blinded by all these exciting scenes. Don't be blinded by goals. Don't be blinded by stats. Don't be blinded by output. Like, don't be blinded by all these things. Yes, those things are very, very, very important. These are the things that make the best players in the world. But also look at the impact that they have on a team. Look at the impact that Mbappe has on a team. Mbappe does not work very hard. Let's call it what it is. Mbappe doesn't work very hard except for when the ball is at his feet. Like, when the ball, like off the ball, Mbappe is one of the worst players to have in your team. Like, he barely presses, he doesn't track back when he loses the ball, he doesn't track back, period. And that can kind of like rub off on the team as well. Like, like I said, midfielders have to like pick up the slack for those type of things. Like Bellingham, I remember this one play where like I don't know, I think it was Mbappe that lost the ball, and Bellingham had to track back and win the ball or something, and Bellingham was like filming. I think it was a Champions League game or something. I think Bellingham was like filming. I remember that play. Like, I remember Bellingham filming, and that's the type of player that Mbappe is. Like, honestly, there's players like that, right? Like, there's players like Mbappe where like I feel like they're more individual than like team players. Like, I feel like they're more for themselves than actual like team players. Like, Mbappe is kind of like, I don't know if I've said this before, but Mbappe is kind of like that type of player that is like, I've done my job. You guys do your thing. See, yeah, me, my job is to attack, my job is to score, my job is to create potentially. That's my job. You guys win the ball for me, pass me the ball back. That's my thing. Like, literally, like Mbappe is type of player, yeah. 2-0 in a game, 2-0 Champions League game, we're about to go through, and then he's just like, yeah, I've done my job, I don't have to press, I don't have to track back and everything. We come back 3-2. Mbappe scored the 2 goals in that game. We come back, and the other team comes back 3-2, and then Mbappe just looks at the defense, looks at the midfielders, like, you guys, what happened? Like, more time, Mbappe wasn't tracking back, more time, Mbappe was pressing, losing the ball up top, more time, Mbappe wasn't pressing, so the press was easy to beat you and everything. That's the player that Mbappe is. I think he's a very individual-minded player where, like, he's like, I've done my part, Sha, so you guys do your own part. And at the end of the day, he's an attacker. His job is to score goals. His job is to create. His job is to just be dangerous in attack. Like, that's his job, right? But like, football is not tennis. Football is not table tennis. Football is not a one-man sport. Football has 11 players on the pitch. Football is a team sport. You need to play as a team. You need to be able to gel well with your team. And I'm not saying that Mbappe doesn't gel well with the team. I'm saying that like Mbappe comes with so many things that is like, it's hard. It's hard to defend him at times. Like, it's like when I watch Real Madrid play and I'm seeing Mbappe not track back, I'm seeing Mbappe not press, I'm seeing Mbappe just basically walk on the pitch. Like, how do I defend that? How do I actually defend that? It's the same thing that happened at PSG. This example I literally gave you about the whole Champions League thing is exactly what happened with that Real Madrid versus PSG game. It's exactly what happened. Like, that 2-0, PSG were beating us 2-0. I think Mbappe scored in the first leg and in the second leg. And then what? PSG attackers, they just decided to, yeah, like, F it, like, we've won this game. Like, they just decided to stop pressing. Like, that was Messi, Mbappe, Neymar. They just decided to stop pressing. They said, yeah, we won the game for you guys and everything. You guys, midfield, defense, do your thing, man. And next thing you know, Real Madrid come back 3-2. Real Madrid comes back 3-2. You have to play to the final whistle. That was one of the things that carried Real Madrid for so many years. Like, all those comebacks. The reason why we come back so much in all those games is because every single player in that team was playing to the final whistle. Real Madrid is literally a miracle club. We're literally a miracle club. Like, we make miracles happen. We come back in the like we come back in games where like it almost looks impossible that you can come back. Like, I just remember so many occasions, the Wolfsburg game, the PSG game. Like, there's just so many occasions where we're not necessarily the underdog, but like, we're in a bad situation and then we come back. Like, that's the club that we are. We are a miracle club. But being a miracle club means that every single player needs to be willing and able to put in a miracle performance. Like, every single player needs to be able to put in that all. Every single player needs to run onto that final whistle. That's what made Real Madrid better than a lot of teams in Europe. We ran to that final whistle, until that whistle blew, until the referee said game is done. who are running. That's what made us the best team in Europe. That's what has made us the best team in Europe over the years. Real Madrid just have this mentality of like, we're going to come back, and because of that belief, they're able to just like keep on going onto the final whistle. So that's the whole thing that we are. But when you have a player like Mbappe who is not really willing to run to the final whistle, who thinks that a game is won at 2-0 in the 70th minute. Literally, other teams will even have a miracle against us and come back against us and everything, because everything starts from the back and everything starts from the front. So if they're able to beat our press, it's easier to get to the team. Making it beat that front press that closer to goal, that's the end of it. Like literally, that's the end of it. And I just think that with Mbappe, you don't get that. Like you don't get that hard work. You don't get that. I'm going to run to the final whistle. And then also like with Mbappe in your team, you require more precision. Like Mbappe is your 9, you require more precision in your team. Like like he's not going to win headers. He's not going to hold up play. He's not going to like be in a very, very dangerous position in the box. He's going to go for cutbacks and everything. So you don't get that miracle play. Like look at Ronaldo heading the ball, like beating centre backs to head the ball and everything. Benzema, same thing. Joselu, same thing. Like literally, these are players that you can associate with miracle situations. Like they all have a point in their life where they had a big miracle from Real Madrid. And I think that Mbappe, you can't get that. Like we had the Man City game and everything, but it's just like he's more about precision than like just doing something out of the ordinary, just doing something that is just out of nowhere and everything. And I just think that Mbappe just changes so much at Madrid. He has changed so much at Madrid. And honestly, like you have to look at it now. Like Mbappe has come and Vini and Rodrigo have been rendered obsolete. Like literally, like what was one thing when it was just Rodrigo? Like it was just Rodrigo. Like I said, Vini, Mbappe, and Rodrigo cannot really be in the team together. Like it just doesn't work. Like having those 3 players just doesn't work. You need something to give, and unfortunately Rodrigo was the person that like took the bullet and everything, and that's kind of like been his whole career, playing off the wrong side of the pitch, everything. Like I just feel like Rodrigo has always been this player that always takes the bullet, and now it looks as if Vini is going to take the bullet again. Like it looks as if another person has to take the bullet just so that Mbappe can shine, just so that this whole Mbappe thing can work. Because Vini and Mbappe are not working. Like I said, the Osasuna game last season, Vini and Mbappe are not working. And if Vini and Mbappe are not working, the team is not working. Like Madrid last season were off it. Like let's be real, we lost to Barcelona like 4-5 times. We got knocked out of the Champions League. Was it round of 16 or quarterfinals? Either way, a good performance. Like we're second in La Liga, and we went trophyless in general. Like we went trophyless in the regular season. No Copa del Rey, no La Liga, no Champions League, no nothing. We lost to Barcelona, to Arsenal. We lost. Like we're off it, bro. Like what has changed? What has changed? Look at the factors. What has changed? Like this sounds like an Mbappe slander video, and for that I am very sorry. I'm sorry to make it seem as if every single problem that is going on at Real Madrid right now is because of Mbappe. Very, very sorry to make it seem like that, but at the same time, you just have to look at what has changed in our team in general. Like, and one of the major things that have changed is Mbappe. Let me just tell you guys something. It is not a coincidence that PSG won a Champions League when they let go of Mbappe. When they let go of that like whole agenda of like we have to have the biggest names in Europe and everything. It's not a coincidence that when they let go of that, like they became this like serial winners. Like they won how many trophies last season? Like they won the treble last season, including Champions League, first time in their history. It's not a coincidence. Like literally, these guys had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe in their team, and they couldn't win a Champions League. Like it's not a coincidence that when they left, and they got the likes of Dembele, Doué, and all these other like more humble bowlers and everything. It's not a coincidence that they were able to win. Like look at PSG's press. You couldn't talk about PSG's press this way like 2-3 years ago. You couldn't. Why? Mbappe is there, Messi is there, Neymar is there. You couldn't talk about that press this way. Like PSG's press was literally one of the worst things about them in previous years. Yes, when they were on the ball and everything was scary, but when they were off the ball, like it was. That's why they couldn't do anything. That's why even with what you would say is like on paper is the best attack in the world, they couldn't do anything. That's why they lost to Madrid in the Champions League. That's why they just didn't work, and all they could do was CAC League One titles. Literally, that's why. That's why. So when you get these kind of like more humble ballers and everything, is like you're more able to like just play the way you want to play. Nobody's really undroppable. Nobody, like if anybody's causing you guys problems, just like bench them. Bench them, honestly, just bench them. And with a player like Mbappe, you can't bench him. Too much media, too much, like there's too much traction that comes with like benching a player like Mbappe. And obviously right now, like it's not proven to be benchable. Like, he's the best player in Madrid at the moment, like in terms of what he's doing on the pitch and everything. He's the best player in Madrid. But look at it, Mbappe is playing so well potentially, and all the other players are playing like Jack. Like the attackers are playing like Jack. Nobody's really like with Mbappe. Yeah, you don't get everything. Like the attackers are playing like Jack. Nobody can really play with him. Vini cannot play with him. Rodrigo can play better with him, but Vini has to play. So Rodrigo, Vini, and Mbappe cannot be on the pitch together. He doesn't play well with strikers. I made a video about that before. He doesn't play well with strikers as well. So you can't even buy like an Isaac, or you need more like a striker that is like willing to like just let things happen in front of him, like a Giroud, like a Griezmann, those type of strikers before Mbappe can play with them. But in general, Mbappe cannot really play with strikers like Mbappe, Cavani, all these things. Like it just doesn't work, honestly. And I'm looking at this Vini situation now, and I'm just thinking, how many players have to be exiled from Real Madrid for Mbappe to work? How many people have to take that bullet before we finally say it's not enough? Isn't not enough? How many people have to take that bullet? Because let's be real, Rodrigo is taking a bullet right now. Vini might potentially take a bullet right now. It's like, how many people need to take that bullet before we finally realize that this whole thing is just kind of crazy? Like, it's mad because I'm seeing the amount of people that are saying, oh, sell Vini, and I'm just wondering, like, this is a player that has won you 2 Champions Leagues, right? Like, yes, you could have said that the first one was a lot of Benzema, although Vini had a very big part to play. But then he proved again that, as much as like Benzema really carried that first year, like, I can do this shit on my own. He proved that he won us a Champions League in the 22-24 season, not single-handedly, but very, very much in his power. Very, very much in his power. And he has won us multiple La Liga titles. He has won us so many things. I want to sell him for a player who has never won a Champions League in his life, for a player who you have to make so many adjustments to your team for. And I'm just wondering, like, why? Like, I feel like Mbappe, like I said, so many things come with him. Like, every single player that you sign has to work with Mbappe. Any midfielder that you have to sign has to be the most hardworking midfielder in the world, unless they can't play in the team with Mbappe. Any attacker that you need to sign has to be this type of certain attacker and anything, unless they can't play with Mbappe. Defenders, every single person, the whole team changes, the whole dynamic of the team changes, and all centered around Mbappe. Mbappe is the type of player that you build things around, but at some point it gets too much. At some point, you're making too many sacrifices for one man, like in my opinion. So honestly, I wouldn't sell Vini. I think I've said it too many times. I said it on my Twitter. I think I've said it in a video before. If it came down to it, and Real Madrid had to sell one of them between Mbappe and Vini, I'm going Mbappe all day. Like, yes, Mbappe is doing very exciting things right now, but don't always be blinded by excitement. Don't always be blinded by flashing lights. Like, I'm going to bring your attention to Liverpool, when Liverpool had the best attack in the world in Mane, Salah, and Firmino. I'm going to bring your attention to that. In that attack here, you had Mane and Salah, like the two main men, like the guys, the boys, and all of that. And then you had Firmino, who was kind of like willing to take a step back, get them, like allow them to get like the PFA nominations, the Ballon d'Or nominations. Yes, Firmino was in those conversations and everything, but who were the guys taking the headlines and everything? Was Mbappe. Sorry, it was Salah and it was Mane. Those are the guys getting the headlines, getting the goals and everything. Salah and Mane did have like an ego clash in that team. Like we saw it on multiple occasions. And about this play where like Salah didn't pass the ball to Mane and Mane was absolutely fuming. I think he got subbed off at some point and it was like, why is me subbing off? Like I remember that, like those guys did not like, they worked well, especially because they were on separate wings, especially because they had like a balancing act like Firmino in that team. And then, if you ever came down to it, yeah, at that time when they were both in their primes, if you ever came down to it and you asked Liverpool fans, who do you think that we should sell between Salah and Mane? I think if you had asked like general football fans, like people watching from the outside, they would have said obviously Mane. Yes, Mane is one of the best players in the world and everything, but Salah gets the goals, Salah gets the assists, Salah gets the output, Salah gets the headlines and everything. Sell Mane, obviously. But if you had asked Liverpool fans, people that watch Liverpool week in, week out, analyzing the games, all of that, if you had asked them, who do you think we should sell between Mane and Salah if it came down to it? I think a lot of them would have told you Salah. I think a good amount of them would have said, we're not losing Mane, sell Salah. Like, obviously, like I said, if it came down to it, they didn't want any of them to go, but if it came down to it, remember that clip of that guy saying that Mane is the best player in the world? Like, he wasn't the only one. Like that's how a lot of Liverpool fans felt. I have a Liverpool fan friend that at that time he was basically, they wasn't saying that Mane was the best player in the world, but he said that Mane was better than Salah in their primes. Mane was better than Salah, but obviously from the outside, Salah is grabbing the headlines, grabbing the goals and everything. So it's like obviously Salah is the better player, but you have to look beyond that. And I think that that goes to this whole Vini and Mbappe situation as well. I think that you know Mbappe obviously right now is the guy getting the headlines, the guy that like you're like, oh my god, yes, goals, European Golden Boot, La Liga top scorer. He's obviously getting those goals, and Vini is struggling right now. How would you say sell Mbappe and keep Vini? Like, how does that make any sense? Like, but it's like I'm just looking at how my team has changed. I've been watching this team for years, week in, week out, La Liga games, Champions League games, Copa del Rey games, and I'm looking at how the team has changed, and I'm looking at how the team is struggling to fit in one man who has not won a Champions League in his life, who doesn't even look hungry enough to win a Champions League. And I'm just like, why would I now let go of this guy that has proven to be able to get to a Champions League, working well with someone that is the best player on the team and working well on his own to carry the team and working well with someone that was carrying the team. And then you have this one guy who hasn't won a Champions League, who hasn't proven to work well with a star man, and who maybe on his own as the star man in the team has not proven to be able to win that team a Champions League. It's just like when I'm looking at those factors, I'm just like doesn't it seem kind of easier to make a decision? Vini struggling is obviously partly his thing, and there's multiple factors. It's not just Mbappe. There's this whole contract thing. He hasn't been able to renew a contract at Madrid. Obviously, they're asking for a stupendous amount of money, and with him struggling right now, it's just like, why would you give it that? Why would we give you that amount of money? He didn't win the Ballon d'Or that year. Maybe that has affected his mentality as well. Maybe it had like a downturn on his mentality and all of that. Like, it's just one of those things, right? He's a human being at the end of the day. Human beings can face disappointment. So, maybe after a big disappointment like that, he was kind of like struggling. But I don't back that, because like when he first started last season, like I said, he was one of the best players in the world still, if not the best player in the world at that time. So I don't really back the whole Ballon d'Or thing. I think that one major factor has changed, which is Mbappe. And yeah, what has happened to Vini, I think Mbappe has happened. I think that's the simple answer. This whole episode has felt like an Mbappe slander episode, and like I said before, I apologize for that, but I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it honest. And like I said, if you ask me right now, Ikena, who do you think that Real Madrid should sell if it came down to it? Vini or Mbappe? I am going Mbappe, and I'm saying keep my Vini. Keep my Vini. Go and sign Alexander Isak that looks to want to leave Newcastle, and then make Vini and Isak the scariest attack in Europe. Make them the scariest attack in Europe. Obviously, that is not going to happen because, like, if it came down to it, I know that they'll pick Mbappe. It already looks as if like Xabi Alonso has gone with Mbappe as the star man in the team, and I'm hearing rumors that he was even going to drop Vini for the Club World Cup semi-finals potentially, but like someone was injured. I can't remember who was injured, but because of that injury, that's why Vini played. That's what I'm hearing. That Vini was never even supposed to play in the Club World Cup semi-finals. So I'm seeing things that like Xabi Alonso actually kind of chosen his star man, and that saddens my heart because like it means that one day all these things I'm talking about, like something I have to give might be Vini. And like Mbappe is the type of player that can build the team around. Mbappe is a star man. Mbappe can carry Real Madrid, right? But where can you carry Real Madrid to? How far can you carry Real Madrid? Can you carry Real Madrid to La Liga titles, to Champions Leagues? Like how many people are going to have to take the axe before we say is enough adjustment for Mbappe? At some point, is Bellingham going to have to take the axe because like Bellingham's attacking output has been affected since Mbappe joined. He's not allowed to be as involved in the attack because like he has to work hard in place of the fact that Mbappe is not really working, and in place of the fact that our front line in general is not really working hard. So he has to work extra hard in winning the ball and everything. So at some point, is Bellingham going to have to take the axe? How many players are going to have to take the axe before we say enough is enough? Before we say Mbappe, you're the best player in the world, which at this point, is Mbappe really still the best player in the world? Like, I think that at this point, we just say it based on name, based on like, yes, he's, like Mbappe is obviously the best player in the world. What do you mean? Like, is he really? Is he really? Is Mbappe really still the best player in the world? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if Mbappe is still really the best player in the world. This video seems very sentimental. I just deeped how sentimental this episode might seem, but at the same time, like I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it a buck because I'm I want to say this now so that like you know I can say that I said it so that I can say that it's out there that if it came down to it, I don't think that we should sell Vini. I don't think that making so many adjustments for one man makes too much sense. I honestly don't think that that makes sense. And I don't know how far Mbappe can carry us, honestly. Like, Vini has already shown how far he can carry us. He has already shown that he can work well with players and work well on his own. So he's like, I don't know how, like, Mbappe hasn't really shown that. So I don't know how far he can carry us. Like, goals are goals and everything, but Harry Kane scored how many goals for Tottenham and that didn't win them any trophies. Like, you know, in big moments, Harry Kane was missing. Champions League final missing. That was it Carabao Cup final missing. Like big moments, Harry Kane is missing. So Harry Kane can score how many goals he wants in Premier League, be the Premier League Golden Boot holder for how many years, and not win a title for Tottenham. And I'm just wondering, like, is that going to be the same situation with Mbappe? Because in France, they had less competition for the titles. So obviously, like, they're still going to win titles. But what I'm remembering is that the first time that they had real competition for Monaco, Monaco won the league title. Monaco won League One. That's what I'm remembering. So now that we have real competition from Barcelona, now that we have Lamine to fight against, now that we have Pedri to fight against, now that we have Rafinha, Lewandowski, Rashford to fight against, is like, how many league titles would you really win depending on one man? I just wonder. I honestly wonder. But before this sounds even more like an Mbappe slander episode, I'm just going to have to end it. Let me know what you guys think. If it came down to it, who do you think that we should sell, Vini or Mbappe? Why do you think that Vini is struggling? Do you think that Mbappe can carry Madrid to new heights? Do you think that he can carry Real Madrid to greater heights than Vini? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But with that comes the end of the episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try and stay consistent, keep on pushing out episodes, and I just hope to see you guys again next time. Safe.